Jami Gertz here on The Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Jami?
I'm great, Rich.
Shocked fans out there. How did you wind up where you were last night?
How did I wind up? It's such a long story.
Hollywood once gave birth to silver screen queens, women who ruled the box office, stood tall holding Oscars, and made the world bow before their radiance. But Jami Gertz was different. She appeared and then vanished, as fleeting as a breeze across the 1980s. What remains is a vague memory, a wistful gaze in The Lost Boys, a debated supporting role in Twister, or a familiar presence in the sitcom Still Standing. No blazing triumphs, no explosive scandals, no farewell. And yet 3 decades later, her name stunned the world, not for a comeback role, but for a staggering number: $12 billion. From the shadows of Hollywood, she re-emerged as an unexpected phantom billionaire, sitting atop the list of the world's richest actresses, co-owning the NBA's Atlanta Hawks, founding a school bearing her name, and steering financial ventures that command respect even in the toughest investment circles. It was a reversal so shocking that Hollywood could hardly believe it. A star once thought extinguished had quietly become a billionaire matriarch, wielding a power more overwhelming than any red carpet or golden statue. Jami Gertz's story is not merely about a teen actress turned leading lady who later walked away from Hollywood to enter the world of investment. It is also an unsettling question. What truly defines the value of an artist? The glitter of awards, or the courage to live in alignment with oneself and one's family? Early life. Jami Beth Gertz was born on October 28, 1965, in Chicago, Illinois, into a middle-class Jewish family. Her father, Walter, was a hard-working builder who spent his life with bricks and construction sites. Her mother, Sharon, stayed at home to care for the children, preserving a simple yet strict lifestyle typical of Jewish immigrant families in Chicago at the time. The small house in suburban Glenview was not filled with wealth or glamour, but it radiated discipline, community spirit, and a strong sense of responsibility. Jami's childhood passed peacefully alongside her 2 brothers, Michael and Scott. The 3 children grew up in an environment where family dinners, synagogue ceremonies, and gatherings with the Jewish community were as important as any academic achievement. Jami was an active member of United Synagogue Youth, USY, a Jewish youth organization dedicated to preserving tradition and promoting community service. It was here that young Gertz learned about solidarity, discipline, and a way of looking at life that went beyond self-interest. At school, Jami attended Maine East High School in Park Ridge, an ordinary public school that would later proudly carve her name into its Wall of Honor to celebrate distinguished alumni. During those years, Jami was not the kind of student who stood out for academic or athletic achievements. What her classmates remembered was her gentleness, sensitivity, and unique presence: dark hair, melancholic eyes, and a shy smile. Friends often said that Jami's eyes could tell a story, and perhaps that was what first made her stand out, even in the most ordinary moments. What's remarkable is that, unlike many future Hollywood stars whose childhoods were marked by tragedy, Jami did not bear heavy scars. There was no broken home, no shadow of trauma haunting her early years. Yet this calm foundation would later create a striking contrast: a girl born into simplicity, raised in quiet neighborhoods, who eventually took a path few in Glenview would have dared to imagine. In those years, Jami never dreamed of the spotlight, but she had something different: curiosity and intuition. Friends recalled how she would quietly observe, watching everything around her intently as if storing away every small detail in her mind. Later, this very habit of observing made her slip into roles with ease, not through academic training, but because she had been practicing living in other people's worlds since childhood. As she entered her teenage years, Jami began to feel a subtle difference within herself. Not rebellious, but a vague urge. She wanted to go beyond Glenview, community festivals, school classrooms, familiar streets. All seemed too small for the imagination of a dreamy girl. In a rare reflection on her childhood, she once admitted, "I always had the feeling I would leave that place, but I didn't know how." That was the portrait of Jami Gertz before Hollywood came calling. A Jewish girl born into a modest Chicago family, raised with faith, sibling bonds, and the discipline of her parents. A childhood free from dramatic upheavals, yet filled with quiet, delicate imprints, the very things that would one day open the door of destiny, carrying her from the halls of Maine East High School into the most unlikely world for a suburban girl, Hollywood. Early career Jami's quiet suburban childhood in Glenview came to a close when she turned 16. That was when Norman Lear, the sitcom king of Hollywood, launched a search for young talent. The dark-haired girl with gentle yet mysteriously expressive eyes caught his attention. For Jami, it was more than just being chosen for a role. It was a ticket out of her quiet neighborhood and into the completely unfamiliar world of Hollywood. At first, the roles came cautiously. In 1981, she made a fleeting appearance in Franco Zeffirelli's Endless Love, the film that introduced Brooke Shields to the public, while Gertz was only a brief face on screen. But for a 16-year-old, simply standing on set alongside major actors was enough to ignite ambition. She knew she wanted to go further. Television opened its doors first. Lear and his collaborators gave her chances in Different Strokes and The Facts of Life. On Facts of Life, she played Boots St. Clair, a wealthy, snobby high schooler. It was a small supporting role, but her charm drew attention. This was also when she honed her craft, observing and recreating other people's mannerisms, a skill she had nurtured since childhood. In 1982, Jami reached her first breakthrough with the CBS sitcom Square Pegs, playing Muffy Tepperman, a serious, slightly eccentric student. The show only lasted one season, but it made Jami a familiar face on American television. More importantly, it proved she could hold the stage within a cast of young actors. Later, she admitted that Square Pegs taught her how to handle public pressure and transform her shyness into a tool for performance. Through the mid-1980s, Gertz continued to refine her craft. She studied acting at New York University, NYU, building a stronger foundation. From there, she straddled two worlds, a student of the arts and an emerging actress steadily building her name. This dual life of half studying, half acting gave Gertz a distinctive path. She didn't rush into big roles, but gradually accumulated experience, preparing herself for the leap that would come in the latter half of the decade. What stands out is that Jami never relied on scandals or gimmicks to gain attention. In a Hollywood overflowing with noisy tales of rebellious youth, Gertz chose the opposite path, keeping her private life guarded so that the spotlight would fall only on her roles. That is why, as her name began to shine, people recognized a different kind of star. Not loud, not showy, but steady and authentic. Successful career. After a handful of small roles, Jami Gertz entered her true breakthrough phase in the mid-1880s, when Hollywood began to turn its spotlight toward a rising class of young actors. In 1984, she appeared in 16 Candles, a teen classic that became a cultural landmark for an entire generation. Though her part was supporting, Jami's natural charm made her stand out among a crowded cast of young talent, and her name soon circulated within the so-called Brat Pack, the group of youthful faces who defined that decade. In the following years, Gertz took part in a string of noteworthy films. Crossroads, 1986, gave her the role of Frances, a companion on a musical journey through the American South, a performance remembered for its purity and sincerity. That same year, she appeared alongside Kevin Bacon in Quicksilver, a film set in the risky world of finance, mirroring the ambitions of young people chasing success. She also ventured into science fiction with MGM's Solar Babies. The film was a box office disaster, but it cemented Jami's image as someone unafraid to take risks in new genres. The year 1987 became the most important milestone of her career in that decade. In The Lost Boys, she embodied Star, the vampire girl who was both enigmatic and fragile. With her deep eyes and flowing hair, she became a pop culture icon of the 1980s. That same year, she starred in Less Than Zero, based on Bret Easton Ellis's novel. Playing Blair, a young woman trapped in a destructive love triangle, Jami showcased her ability to portray complex characters torn between love, morality, and the deadly temptations of drugs. The film sparked heavy controversy, but it was precisely this raw edge that allowed her to transcend the sweetheart image and prove herself as a mature actress, willing to confront society's darker themes. By the late 80s, Jami further established herself with Listen to Me, 1989, set against the backdrop of American college political debates. As Monica Tomansky, she conveyed sharpness and emotional depth, clearly stepping beyond teen rebel roles and into more adult territory. Yet her film career in the 1990s failed to maintain the same momentum. Her screen appearances became fewer, and it wasn't until 1996 that she returned to the spotlight with Twister. In this global disaster blockbuster, Jami played Melissa Reeves, the fiancée of Bill Paxton's character. The movie was a massive box office hit, one of the most successful of the year. Ironically, her role drew heavy criticism and even a Razzie nomination for Worst Supporting Actress. But the criticisms could not erase the fact that millions of viewers remembered Jami amid the film's roaring CGI tornadoes, making Twister the role most closely tied to her name for decades afterward. If film provided Jami with moments of brilliance followed by slowdown, television gave her a more lasting ground to stand on. After years of working in various sitcoms and popular series, she became widely recognized in American households thanks to her natural humor and charm. Her television peak came with Still Standing, 2002 to 2006, where she played Judy Miller, the quintessential strong, practical American mother. Running for 4 seasons, the show became a staple of family entertainment and transformed Jami from a Hollywood supporting actress into a familiar, relatable face. Alongside that, Gertz made memorable appearances in other acclaimed series. On Seinfeld, 1994, she delivered one of the most beloved guest roles. In Ally McBeal, 2000, she portrayed attorney Kimmy Bishop, a role that earned her an Emmy nomination, one of the rare acknowledgments from critics that Jami was more than just a pretty face. Around the same time, she joined ER as Dr. Nina Pomerantz, later appearing in Shark, 2007, and even Entourage, where she played herself in a witty cameo. In the 2010s, she continued her television presence with The Neighbors, 2012 to 2014, a quirky sitcom about a human family living next door to aliens, along with brief but memorable turns on This Is Us and Difficult People. Jami also stepped behind the camera. She founded Lime Orchard Productions, which produced A Better Life, 2011, a touching story about a Mexican immigrant in Los Angeles. Though not a commercial hit, the film earned an Oscar nomination for Best Actor and demonstrated Gertz's keen eye for human-centered projects. In 2025, she returned as a producer with the Starz documentary series Magic City, an American fantasy, once again proving she never truly left the entertainment industry. She simply chose to work from a quieter angle. Looking back, Jami Gertz's career was unlike any of her peers. She never became Julia Roberts or Meryl Streep, never held an Oscar, and was never hailed as a box office queen. But she had. The Lost Boys to become a symbol, Less Than Zero to showcase her dramatic depth, Twister to cement her image in a global blockbuster, and Still Standing to enter American living rooms. Hers was not a career blindingly brilliant, but steady and meaningful, enough to etch the name Jami Gertz into the memory of generations of audiences. Other ventures and a billion-dollar fortune. Her acting career never brought Jami Gertz to Oscar's golden stage, but in the least expected arena, she reached the pinnacle. The world of investment. In 2015, alongside her husband, billionaire Tony Ressler, Jami made headlines by spending around $720 million to purchase the Atlanta Hawks. To the public, it was a stunning twist. A former supporting actress was suddenly seated as co-owner of an NBA team, present at official events like the NBA Draft Lottery, and sitting courtside as a power representative of the franchise. At the time, sports media used the very word unbelievable to describe Jami's presence, and the public began asking, who is she? And since when did she become an NBA owner? The deal was not just symbolic. Over the years, the Hawks' value soared to more than $2.5 billion, making it one of the most successful transactions in NBA history. Jami, once just a fleeting face in The Lost Boys, was now identified as a billionaire sports mogul, something no other actress of her generation had achieved. The Ressler Gertz family didn't stop with basketball. They also acquired stakes in the Milwaukee Brewers MLB. In a country where sports are almost a religion, their simultaneous presence in both the NBA and MLB wasn't just investment. It was a statement of cultural influence in American life. Alongside this, they built an empire of luxury real estate, a Pacific Ocean-facing mansion in Malibu, a grand estate in Beverly Hills, Beverly Park, properties worth tens of millions frequently featured in Hollywood's coverage of the ultra-wealthy. These homes were not merely places to live, but landmarks marking the vast distance between Jami and the fellow actresses she once competed with for roles. Thanks to years of smart investments and the fortune amassed by Tony Ressler, co-founder of Apollo Global Management and Ares Management, the Gertz-Ressler family's net worth in 2025 was estimated between $8 and $12 billion. That staggering figure crowned Jami Gertz the richest actress in the world, surpassing names like Julia Roberts, Angelina Jolie, and Sandra Bullock. Stars once thought untouchable in financial influence. Their Malibu mansion overlooking the Pacific, their Beverly Park estate, one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Los Angeles, and other prime properties each carried valuations of $20 to $30 million. They weren't just residences, but visible proof of their financial might. American media once described the Ark, from a supporting role in Twister to the owner of one of California's most expensive homes, as a quintessential Hollywood paradox. Beyond real estate, Gertz and Ressler were also said to own a luxury car collection, including Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Ferrari, often spotted at sports and charity events. Added to that were super yachts, serving both as private retreats and floating boardrooms for entertaining clients from the financial world, an office at sea few Hollywood stars could imagine. Within the closed circles of the ultra-rich, these assets were rarely flaunted, but their silence only deepened public curiosity. Every time the list of richest actresses in Hollywood appeared, Jami Gertz's name produced a double effect. For younger audiences, it was pure surprise. They had to look her up to remember what she had acted in. For those from the 1980s, it was nostalgia. Star from The Lost Boys had become a billionaire owner. For the media, Jami embodied a living paradox. A star thought to have faded, now sitting atop a throne of silent power. Yet Jami never turned her wealth into fireworks for show. She and Tony chose a different path, giving back. In 2010, they topped the Giving Back Fund's Celebs Giving Back list after donating millions to healthcare, education, and cancer research. The Gertz-Ressler High Academy in Los Angeles stands as proof, not just bearing their names, but offering thousands of public school students better opportunities. Beyond education, Jami also served on the board of the Melanoma Research Alliance, focusing on skin cancer prevention and research, an area she believed every grant could save lives. When the world looks at Jami Gertz today, the reaction is not only amazement at her wealth, but also curiosity. Why would someone so unremarkable on screen choose to live powerful in silence? The answer likely lies in her choice itself. Instead of chasing fleeting fame, Jami built a lasting legacy, from NBA franchises and oceanfront estates to schools and research funds. And it is this very contrast that makes her compelling. While many stars sacrifice everything to cling to the spotlight, Jami Gertz became a legend by walking away from it. Personal life. Jami Gertz's private life was never loud, yet it carries one of the rare love stories in a world so accustomed to breakups and scandals. She met Tony Ressler in the late 1980s when she was around 23 to 24 years old, and he was a young financier just beginning to make his mark on Wall Street. On one side was an actress appearing on the big screen in Less Than Zero and The Lost Boys. On the other, a discreet businessman determined to build a financial empire. They came from two different worlds, but shared one common trait. Neither liked the spotlight. Their romance unfolded quietly, no tabloid-worthy dates, no paparazzi photos splashed across magazines. They met through friends, started with simple conversations, and grew closer through trust. Tony was struck by Jami's sincerity and modesty, so unlike the diva image often projected onto actresses. Jami, in turn, found in Tony a safe harbor, a man untouched by Hollywood's glittering chaos. In 1989, at a time when her career was blossoming, Jami Gertz married Tony Ressler, then a young financier who had just co-founded Apollo Global Management. This marriage became the most pivotal moment of her life. Not a wedding bathed in limelight, but a quiet, deliberate choice that laid the foundation for more than 3 decades together without a single scandal. In Hollywood, where marriages often collapse faster than a film's run, Jami and Tony did the opposite. They walked side by side for over 35 years. Some have said their marriage was Jami's longest role, but without a script, only love, respect, and sacrifice. Because when she married, Jami turned down significant career opportunities, most notably the role of Rachel Green in Friends, a role that later propelled Jennifer Aniston to international superstardom. But Jami never regretted it. She once said it was the price of choosing family, and she was willing to pay it. Together, they had 3 sons: Oliver, Nicholas, and Theo. While many stars of her generation placed their children in the media spotlight, Jami chose differently, raising them in privacy, almost shielded from Hollywood's glare. The public only occasionally saw the family together at major sports events, especially Atlanta Hawks games. Images of her sitting with Tony and their sons, sharing moments courtside, became the clearest proof of what Jami valued most: family first, fame later. Those close to them describe Jami's relationship with her sons as surprisingly warm and intimate. Despite their multi-billion-dollar fortune, she did not raise them in excess, but with discipline rooted in her Jewish upbringing, prioritizing education, community, and simplicity. Sources say she was present in their everyday lives, at school, sports games, music lessons, even in small private family moments. This only deepened public curiosity. How could a Hollywood billionaire live like an ordinary American mom? That ordinary life was, in fact, a conscious choice. To secure a lasting marriage and close bond with her children, Jami sacrificed part of her career. She stepped back from big film opportunities, choosing more modest television roles to have time at home. In her rare interviews, Jami always emphasized, "The most important thing to me isn't awards. It's being there when my kids need me." This honesty made her image starkly different from Hollywood's scandal-ridden picture. It wasn't always easy. Balancing life as the mother of 3 and the wife of a financial tycoon placed immense pressure on her. But instead of breaking under it, she turned it into glue, supporting her husband's career while protecting her family from the public gaze. The result is that, after more than 3 decades, they are still seen as one of the rare Hollywood Wall Street couples untouched by infidelity, divorce, or courtroom battles. Now, in her 50s, Jami Gertz no longer appears frequently on camera. She devotes her time to her family, the Hawks, charity work, and traveling with her husband and children. With her vast fortune, she could live as a queen of luxury. But Jami chose a different image: a devoted mother, a steadfast wife, and a quietly influential woman. That, ultimately, is her greatest role, her longest lasting, and her truest. Legacy and influence. If one looks at Jami Gertz only through the lens of cinema, it's easy to dismiss her as a faint name, a supporting actress in The Lost Boys Less Than Zero, or a family sitcom like Still Standing. But her legacy does not end with those roles. What makes Jami remarkable is the contradiction. A star seemingly gone from Hollywood who left her deepest mark in places no one expected. In the memory of audiences from the 80s and 90s, Jami remains the fragile face with sad eyes in youthful films. She never stood on the Oscar stage, but she helped shape a different image of an actress, one who didn't need to be the center to be remembered, but who stayed in people's minds through authenticity and subtlety. The characters she portrayed, from Star, the vampire girl in The Lost Boys, to Judy Miller, the the mother in Still Standing, embodied an everyday kind of emotion, enough for viewers to recognize themselves within her. That is her artistic legacy. Not dazzling, but enduring and relatable. Beyond the screen, Jami Gertz's influence resonates even more. She proved that an actor doesn't have to cling to the spotlight forever. That one can choose another path, investment, business, philanthropy, and still become a symbol. A fortune of $8 to $12 billion did not just crown her as the richest actress in the world. It also carried a powerful message. Artists, too, can become entrepreneurs, leaving behind an economic legacy alongside their artistic one. Yet greater than wealth are the contributions she left to the community. The Gertz Wrestler High Academy, bearing her and her husband's name, is not merely a school, but a symbol of how they used their fortune to open doors for future generations. Their donations to cancer research through the Melanoma Research Alliance and their #1 spot on the 2010 Celebs Giving Back list tied Jami's name to the idea of a celebrity remembered for giving, not for scandal. In the eyes of the public, she became proof that silence and discretion can themselves create power. Power more lasting and harder to erase than the fleeting glow of the red carpet. Today, when the press mentions Jami Gertz, she is often called Hollywood's mysterious billionaire. And it is that very contradiction that defines her unique legacy. A star who did not seek the spotlight, yet became a symbol of endurance, of wise choices, and of a success that does not shout. That is the kind of influence that transcends film, a story that forces us to ask, in a world forever chasing fame, could it be that the greatest strength belongs to those who step away at the right moment, letting their true value echo in silence? Current life. At nearly 60, Jami Gertz has chosen a rhythm of life rarely seen among Hollywood stars. Discreet, peaceful, and almost entirely detached from the noise of the entertainment world. She no longer pursues new roles, nor does she race down red carpets or make regular talk show appearances. Instead, Jami is present in the places that best reflect her choices: courtside at Atlanta Hawks games, charity board meetings, and most importantly, the ordinary moments spent with her husband and children. In 2025, her name unexpectedly returned to the media, not because of a film, but because of a rare appearance in West Hollywood. Paparazzi photos captured her looking visibly changed with age, and some outlets ran headlines like "Hard to recognize Jami Gertz after years away." What seemed like a simple moment triggered a media storm. The world was stunned that an actress who had all but stepped away from the industry could still command headlines from international outlets like El País, The Sun, and news.com.au. That paradox itself became the appeal. Jami Gertz, though absent from the screen, has never disappeared from public memory. Today, Jami devotes most of her time to supporting her husband in investment work and managing the Hawks, engaging in community activities, and continuing her commitment to education through the Gertz Wrestler High Academy. She also serves as a board member of the Melanoma Research Alliance, reflecting her long-standing dedication to philanthropy. Her life is not a series of parties or showy vacations on social media, but rather quiet, meaningful steps, making her the very model of a silent billionaire in the middle of a scandal-ridden Hollywood. In the eyes of audiences, Jami Gertz is no longer the mysterious vampire girl star or the comedic Judy Miller from a sitcom, but a mature woman who lives fully for her family and her community. Images of her sitting beside Tony Wrestler and their 3 sons at NBA games, or quietly signing donations for cancer research, have become symbols of a different kind of glow. One that doesn't come from stage lights, but from deliberate, lasting choices. At this point in her life, the public views Jami Gertz with both curiosity and respect. She is no longer an A-list star, nor competing for roles, but she is living the kind of life many in Hollywood only dream of. A long-lasting marriage, grown children, immense wealth, and an untarnished image free of scandal. In a world where fame often comes at a terrible cost, Jami has proven that true happiness may not lie in how often you appear, but in how you turn absence itself into an irresistible presence. There are stars who are remembered forever for their dazzling brilliance, and others who vanish into silence. But Jami Gertz chose to stand in the middle of those extremes, both understated and haunting. She left behind neither the legacy of an Oscar nor her name etched into timeless classics. Instead, Jami turned stepping back into her greatest strength. A long-lasting marriage, 3 children raised in peace, and a financial empire. From the Hawks and the Brewers to luxury estates and charitable foundations that even Hollywood could hardly have imagined. When the press calls her Hollywood's mysterious billionaire, the title reflects more than her $8 to $12 billion net worth. It reflects a choice: to refuse the race, to reject ostentation, and to let silence itself be the declaration. In a world where everything is measured by glitter and glamour, Jami Gertz proves that sometimes the greatest power lies in what cannot be seen on the screen. What do you think truly set Jami Gertz apart? Her choice of family over fame, or her quiet but commanding power in business? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay with us.